I tried to put my sunscreen on, and I took my ring off because it was kind of in the way. It was sticky. It was like I put it on my shoe, and I forgot to put it back on. I started walking, and a couple of seconds later, I realized that my ring was gone, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, where is it?" I freaked out, and I got on my knees. I was just sifting through the sand. I'm
You're
sure
on
people
all
thought that I
fours.
was crazy, lost my mind,
Yeah.
and I was just, like, crying and I'm freaking out, and I called my partner, I was like, "Oh my god, I don't know where my ring is, I lost it."
This podcast is intended solely for educational and discussion purposes. The content shared within this program is not meant to embarrass, criticize, or humiliate any official, coach, team, conference, or fan. Our goal is to educate, inform, and promote a deeper understanding of the art and the profession of officiating, providing insight that benefits all who love and support the game.
Welcome to another episode of The Play is the Play. And I have to say that I am so excited. I have one of my, and I guess I can still call you one of my babies, but you're really not anymore because, now, Simona, you are a conference tournament referee. You just big timing on me because of your development and your growth. And it is so good to see. You're so energetic, you know, you're just learning so much, and my staff loves you to death and I love you to death. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of The Play is the Play for this episode. But for our Keeping It Real segment, this is going to be so much fun. I have Simona with us, and she's just developing, she's growing. And I have some fun stories to tell about you, which is so awesome. And what I love about you is that you're one of those referees that actually played the game. And, I want you to tell the world internet because you're one of my international people here when it comes to international player, international referee.
Yes. Oh, thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here. I'm very, very honored to be part of your staff. And I'm originally from Lithuania. Lithuania is a basketball country. That's really the only sport that we're really good at. So I played in Lithuania. I played for our national team. And I eventually came to United States and played college basketball, Division I basketball in Baltimore, Maryland. And funny enough, one of the referees who worked my games ended up recruiting me into officiating. 8 years later, here I am, still on the basketball court and just on the other side of the whistle, as I like to say. And I'm working for you, and I'm very honored to be on your staff.
Well, here's what's funny about you is that you came to basic referee school, and we do some real
I
unique
did.
things with basic referee school. And the first time you came, we put people in groups and you guys had to perform on stage, which was funny. We always come up with these ways of getting people kind of out of their comfort zone. Because refereeing, you
Yes,
have to be kind of out of your comfort zone because of all the
absolutely.
different things that hits us. You know what I mean? And we do team building, and I'll never forget, you were up on the stage and you just transformed on me. And I looked at you and I said, my God, is that Simona? Because you turned into Tina Turner. And you had this big hair and you're in the front of your group and you had this cute little skirt on and you were twirling your head and the hair was going. And I went, I love her already. I can tell you, literally, you won me over by your personality and how you came out of your comfort zone and how you were not afraid to be
Yes,
one of the leaders of your group. And people don't understand that sometimes you can get an eye of a coordinator and it has nothing to do with you being in a gym or on the
yes.
court. Yours was totally during our social hour is where I went, I love this lady and I want to get to know this young lady. And
I
I mean, literally, that's how I had my introduction to you. And come to find out, when you told me you were from Lithuania and you told me that you
yeah.
played, and I went, that's it. Because most players become pretty good referees most of the time. Players have a good
Yeah.
feel for the game. They understand it. They catch on really quick. And one thing
Mhm.
about you is that you caught on very quick. But you know, the one thing that I really, really found for you that really helped you in your career as you're developing, you became a student of the game really, really fast. You knew that you had to
Yeah.
study. You knew that you took video. You listened to your mentors, and you was not afraid of constructive criticism. I didn't have to bite
Mm.
my tongue with you. I wasn't worried that, oh, I'm going to hurt her feelings or she's going to be tender. You know how we say, "Oh, are you tender?" You're like, no, tell me, boss. Give it to me. And that could be
Yeah,
from the
exactly.
basketball background a little bit.
Yeah. And also my culture, I think, also is a little bit different. So I think that played part as well. But when I think back of the basics camp, it was such a unique experience for me. I've been to plenty of camps, and your camp really stood out to me. And I quickly realized that you weren't just looking at who we are as as officials, but who we are as people as well. You cared about our personalities, about our backgrounds, and what makes each of us unique beyond basketball court. So I really appreciated that as well, and I'll never forget how welcoming your staff was when I came back to the callback camp, and everyone made me feel so seen and valued. From the very beginning when I got there, and then, you as a leader, I really appreciate how genuine and authentic and inviting you are, and how diverse your staff is, and truly, like, the way you set up the environment, it helps us grow and feel like they belong. So I wanted the job so bad that I was like, you know what, I feel comfortable, I'm gonna be a Tina Turner because I love Tina Turner, so just I'm gonna do it, because you made me feel so comfortable. Everybody did. So I felt like I could come out of my comfort zone during the
Wow.
lip sync contest.
You know what?
Yeah.
That was it. And I think,
Yeah.
and that's so great. And thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of our
Yeah.
viewers, and this is the whole point of what we do, because we put
Yeah.
ourselves out there. I do it. And I love that you said, you know what? You were so welcoming and your staff was so open and allowed
Yes.
each of us to just be individuals. And I think that's a key component to basic referee school and why we're successful. And, because my boss has always asked me, well, how are we going to grow the game? How are we going to get new up and coming referees? And I go, we do it every day. I have
Yeah.
tons of them. It's just a matter of having them, wanting them to develop so that and prepare them so that I can bring them in like you. You know, Again, I'll never forget when I called you and I said, "Hey, you know what? I want you to be a part of my staff. You got it."
Yeah.
And I saw that instantly in you. But what I saw in you was you were not afraid to do the work. You were not afraid to be a student of the game. You were not afraid to ask questions. But I really saw a young, energetic person
Mm.
who fell in love with officiating and wanted to be a part of it. And I think that was what drew me to you. And to
Mhm.
see you on that stage and transform, and you didn't know any of us. I don't even know if you knew anybody at camp, and it didn't matter.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah.
See, and I put you with, Chance and I, we put you with this group, and you just shined in front of the stage.
Yeah.
And I went, you didn't know it, but I said, that young lady, I just now have to see how she referees. That young lady will be a part of my staff one day. I knew it. There was no question
I
about
love
it,
it.
because that's the whole point of team building and exercises
Yeah.
and letting your hair down and trying to just not be some rigid person that you think I want to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah,
That's no.
exactly.
I want the authentic Simona, because that person is going to be able to learn, that person is going to be able to develop, and that's the
Mhm.
person people are going to believe. And that's what I saw in you.
Yes.
And I can honestly say your growth, I think this is about your 5th year. And just think, you're young in this. This is your 5th year working for me. You worked conference tournaments. I think last year You worked the
Mhm.
semifinals. How about that? You worked, I mean, I'll never forget when I first brought you in, you were an alternate. And then I said,
Yes, I
you know what?
remember
This
that.
young lady is refereeing so well. It's time to give her another opportunity. And I think I put you in like a first round game.
Yep.
And then the next year, you end up working a first round and then a second round. And then the next year, you worked all the way through to the semifinals, which was last year. And it just goes to show how it's all your development. All I'm doing is looking at someone who is getting better and better. You're not afraid. My staff loves you to death. Every time someone works with you, they call me and go, "Oh my God, I love this young lady. She's energetic.
Yeah.
She's easy to talk to." And
Yeah.
the staff just fell in love with you, which is a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. But I honestly can say that I believe that that comes from your basketball background, and and like you said, the way you were raised, you've never been afraid of constructive criticism because
Yeah.
of being a basketball player, for
Yeah,
most of
no,
us.
I exactly, I totally agree. Being a basketball player first and then becoming an official, it definitely is an asset. So it gives me a perspective that really shapes how I referee my games, and I'm able to understand the pace, the emotions, the
Mm,
pressure. Every possession matters, and what it feels like to compete and be coached hard, and communicate. It just like I have that experience, and I've been in the moments where a call or a no call feels like personal, where adrenaline is high and where you just want to feel seen and treated, fairly. So that experience really helps me officiate with empathy, I would say, and more
mm.
awareness. Transitioning from player to officiating also, it deepened my respect for both roles, I would say. And so it is really helpful in decision making, and the responsibility, the balance makes me, I feel like, more patient because I know what the players are going through, and so just kind of helps me being more intentional with, I would say, my communication with players and coaches. And yeah, it's definitely an asset. So I'm very glad that I played basketball before I refereed.
You know what? You gave so many nuggets right there. You got nugget after nugget after nugget, and it's beautiful. And I want to say thank you for just being you, and
Yeah.
being open and honest. And
Mhm.
what's so funny about you is a lot of people don't realize you're so candid and funny, and you don't take yourself too serious. You're like me because I don't take myself too serious. I'm silly. I can
Yeah.
be serious, I can be passionate. I got a lot of different, hats that I wear, but I
Yeah.
take pride in all of them. And I think for you, that's one area where I just learned very quickly how you were just such a student of the game, and that every challenge I gave you, you were just on it. You never said, "I don't know if I could do that," or "What do you mean?" or "Why do you want me to do that?" You just said,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm in. I'm a study. You put me with these crews. I got to get to know them. I want to work. I want to, it didn't matter. You never ever gave me any doubt as to who you were going to be, that you wanted to learn, that you were just
Mhm.
willing to be all in, and I have another funny story with you. This is the best. You had because pretty much I was just kind of using you in Texas. And I think
Yeah.
it was the last couple of years I said, "Simona, it's time to break loose. It's time for me to kind of let you loose a little bit." So I
Let
said,
me
"Okay,
loose.
let you loose." So I think I gave you like this little road trip to Los Angeles, and you were working around LA and Northridge and stuff. And literally, you came in a day early and you told me, you
Mhm.
said,
I
"Boss,
did.
it's beautiful. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to go work on my tan. I'm going to lay out." And within this, you going to the beach and you laying out the day before your game, you decided to lay in the sand and
Mhm.
you took your wedding ring off. Simona,
Yes.
when I tell you we were in the locker room and you told me this story,
Uh,
and when I tell you I almost peed on myself, you have to tell the story about you and this wedding ring and being on the beach. It's
I
hilarious.
know.
Your
I
first
I
trip to
was
Los Angeles.
definitely That was quite a story. I was panicking. I tried to put my, sunscreen on, and I took my ring off because it was kinda in the way, it was sticky, it was like I put on my shoe, and forgot to put it back on. I started walking, and a couple of seconds later, I realized that my ring was gone, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, where is it?" I freaked out, and I got on my knees. I was just sifting through the sand. I'm
You're
sure
on
people
all
thought that I
fours.
was crazy, lost my mind,
Yeah.
and I was just, like, crying and I'm freaking out, and I called my partner, was like, "Oh my god, I don't know where my ring is, I lost it." It was quite an experience I will never forget, but I was able to call someone that had a metal detector locally, and I was just sitting in the spot. I was like, "I'm not moving. I'm gonna stay where I am because I know it's close by." So I
Right.
called the person. I was like, "Please, can you be here? I'll pay you. I don't care how much." And he was there in like 20 minutes, and it was like literally sitting right next to me, but it was like under all the sand. And I was
But
like,
wait,
"Oh, thank
funny,
God!" But
wasn't it isn't this true that your partner was the one who said, "You're not going nowhere. You need to
yeah,
call somebody to come help
because
you
I did
find your wedding
exactly.
ring."
I was so emotional. I was so emotional, I just couldn't think. Like, when you give a
Right.
technical foul on the court to somebody, like, you need to
Great
someone,
point.
like, come calm you down, talk to you, right? Talk you down and, like, kinda give you some options what to do, and so I called her, I was like, "I don't even know what to do, what's going on?" So she's like, "Just calm down. It's
Mhm.
okay. We're gonna find it. Just call somebody. There's, like, people that have metal detectors, and they have private businesses, so they'll help you." So it's like it really helped me calm down.
Wow, but see, I love the way you related that to when you how you were able to relate that into officiating, because you're absolutely
Yes.
correct that being able to relax and to take a deep
Yeah.
breath can help you make better decisions. And in this
Yes.
case, obviously you were in panic mode, which is understandable because you're like, I can't go home without my wedding ring. So
Yeah,
obviously,
exactly.
I ain't moving. I'm gonna find somebody. And luckily you got really, really lucky. And see, that good juju will help us
Yeah.
because you were able to the first person that you called said, "Yeah, I'll be there." And you did not
Yeah.
move. You waited for them to come.
I did not
And sure enough, your ring was right almost in the
there.
same area where you were standing, which was
Yeah.
crazy, that you were
I know.
on all fours trying to find it, and
Yeah.
here it is, it was right there.
Yeah. Like, all the stories I feel like from basketball officiating, there's just so many of them, and I think it always, like, brings us together, and I love it. Like, there's, basketball on the basketball court stories, and then there's outside of basketball stories, and I love that part of officiating, creating, new relationships, new friendships, and just telling stories. Like one of my, like, favorite parts of basketball officiating too. So, yeah, it was a great story.
Well, I literally we were at Cal State Northridge, and I'll never forget, and we had went through our post game, and we talked about the plays and situations, and
Yeah.
we did all that, and I think your partner was the one who said, "Hey, Simona, you gotta tell the boss about this you going to the beach story." And
Yes.
Simona, I tell you, that made my evening. It was
Yeah, I
almost like
still
we
remember.
seen you on the stage doing Tina Turner. I just said, "I love this young lady. You just told the story. It was funny." But again,
Yeah.
it's funny how experiences can help us grow. And like
Oh,
you
yeah.
said you took from that experience how you can be flustered and
Mhm.
emotions at a really, really high level, and how you had to just calm down,
Yeah.
and your partner was she literally helped bring you down and said, "Okay, stop for a minute, and we're gonna find your ring, and here's what we have to do." And literally, this is exactly what we have to do when we're on the court, when we're with our crews,
Yes.
and we're having discussions. That's the same thing that we have to do, and people don't realize that because we're human. And it's not
Yes.
an easy thing to do when you're being yelled at, and the crowd is, all on your head, and you hear all this background noise
Yes.
coming down at but you were able to, when it was all said and done, sit back and look at the story and still relate it to officiating and how the story actually helped you understand that when you're in
Mhm.
game, your emotions are high, because I always say when they go high, we have to come down. We have to remain calm. And
Exactly.
because we have to make a good decision, and it has to be a rash decision, and it can't be an emotional decision. And we have to be able to communicate with our partners and look at the video and take all those different pieces to come up with the correct decision for each individual play. And you've learned that from experiences outside of officiating, but which is really, really nice. And that may be something that you're able to do because you played the sport. Could be, different people have different areas where they're just really good at it, and you pull from those areas that can help you be a better referee. And I think for you, one thing I do love with watching you, you may not have all the answers when you're talking to coaches, but for some reason, whatever you say or whatever you do or however you present yourself, coaches believe you. And it could be because you're an ex-player, it could be your confidence, it could be, you just come over with a very easy kind of personality. You're not harsh,
Yeah.
you're not coming in like, "I know it all." Like, you just come over, and you're beautiful, and I'm sure that might help, and I
Yeah.
like because we have to use in officiating, we do. We have to use whatever assets that are given to us, and
Yeah. I
for
think
some
it's,
referees,
like
they don't
being
know.
authentic. Yes. And I think it's like what helps me is being authentic. I remember when I first started officiating, I kind of struggled with that because I was from a different country. I had an
Mhm,
accent. Wasn't a fan of having an accent because I felt like I stood out. It was like it was sign of weakness, and I felt
mhm.
uncomfortable standing out sometimes. And I was always told officials are not supposed to stand out. So I kind of like didn't really understand what that meant at that time.
Mhm.
So I would try to like prove myself, through perfection. I would role play my answers and rehearse what to say word for word and make sure I sound professional. And it never really worked for me. It didn't sound natural, and then it didn't feel like me. And it no matter how hard I tried. And one day what my mentor told me, she said, "There's nothing wrong with being from a different country or having an accent." She said,
Perfect.
"Being, authentic is an asset. It's not something to hide." She said, "Use it to your advantage and embrace it." And I was like, wow. I was like, that was a light bulb moment for me. And she was absolutely right. I don't have to sound like everybody else to do my job and be good at it. And I eventually I realized that when working with coaches and partners, see you owning who you really are and your culture and your accent. I feel like it does set the tone for authenticity on the floor. And I feel like people are more likely to respond and be open, and it also creates some trust and respect as well. So I think becoming more authentic really helped me, and communicating with coaches and with my partners. So I'm really thankful to my mentor for having that conversation. So that was life changing for me.
How about this? The one key component that you highlighted was that
Hmm.
you received it though. See, because a lot of times
Right.
people give us stuff and they don't take it. We don't take
Yeah.
it. And you did though.
Mhm.
When they said, "You know what, Simona, there's nothing wrong from being from Lithuania. There's nothing wrong with your
Yeah.
accent. And there's nothing wrong with be you." See, and this is
Yeah.
this is this is great. This is a great segment for our viewers because you have so many referees trying to find their way, you know?
Yeah.
And
That's.
it is nice for them to hear. This is one reason why I really wanted to have you on because you come from a
Mhm.
different background. You were raised differently. You
Mhm.
were a basketball player internationally. You've traveled the world. You've done some different things, but the nice thing is that you've learned that you have to be yourself. for people
Yes.
to trust you, for people to believe you. Because one thing I
Mhm.
say to referees, you can be the best play caller, you can go out and be 100% right, but if no one's buying what you're selling, you're not going to be successful. You still, people have to believe that you are who you are and that you're not BSing them. And one thing I've learned about you, there is no BSing with anything that you do. You are yourself. You are able to share stories. You're able to put yourself out there. Like, and I think, that's the one thing that I found about your story and the beach that really touched me, because you put yourself out there and we laughed, and little girl, when I tell you, I almost peed on myself. It was the best. But it was authentic. It was you. It
Yeah.
was, who you've become. And I think
Mhm.
for yourself, you had a turning point in your own career as to who Simona was going to be. And I think that has really helped you as a person, as a basketball referee, and those things have kind of blended together to create this up and coming referee that's changing right before my eyes, that's growing right
Mhm.
before my eyes, that
Mhm. Mhm.
working conference tournaments now, your leadership roles, you're just doing things on a totally different level, and the sky is the limit for you because you're young, you're smart, you understand the game, you have the work ethic, you understand basketball. And when you have all those things, anything's possible. And see, I
Yeah.
came from that same background. I was a player. And that I've taken everything as being a player and has incorporated it into officiating. And I've even now incorporated it into my leadership style, because all I can be is me. That's one thing I can tell you. I'm not pretending, I'm not trying to be someone else, and I think that's something that I fell in love with about you, is that you are who you are, and you're not trying to be somebody different, you're not trying to change, you're okay about opening up and letting people get to know you, and it's a beautiful thing. Sharing, they had that whole sharing is caring. It's true.
It
It
is
is
true.
it is a true statement. So, you know what, young lady? The sky is the limit for you. I can tell you that I'm looking forward to watching you toward the end of the season. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our conference tournaments. And I'm just
Thank
looking
you.
forward to having you be a part of my staff for years to come. And I know you're going to grow. There's no question you're going to get better and better. It's almost like the more experiences you have, the more you grow, and I really love that you're a student of the game, though. I know that you study, I know you watch video, I know that you're in your mentor groups to learn and
Yeah.
develop, but you're not afraid to share either. You're not afraid to give those nuggets to younger officials that are trying to make it. Sharing your story is great because, I'm always out recruiting young basketball players to join our staff all the time, because one thing we have is that those basketball instincts can transform into officiating and make us really, really good referees. And that you have
No.
become a really good
Uh,
referee without a doubt. So I just look
well,
forward to
thank
watching
you.
you, watching you grow, watching you develop, and watching you learn. So, Simona, I thank you so much. You sent me a play, and you always send me really, really good plays, and we have great discussion. So this one we're going to make public. So I would like for you to kind of tee the play up a little bit. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because I was just at a game this weekend and had a discussion with the crew almost about this same identical play that you just sent me. So tee it up and tell me what yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so tee it up and what
Yeah,
we
so
got.
this is like one of the new rules this year, coaches appeal when this play occurred. We didn't have that rule in play just yet,
Mhm, mhm,
but we have a white team with the ball, and as the player passes the ball to her teammate, she fumbles the ball and loses control, and then we have defense stealing the ball, and we have a foul on white. And as you can see, I'm right on the play, and I'm looking for illegal contact, and I blow my whistle and I say, yes, this is a foul, and foul on white. And my partner, my crew chief, comes up to me and he says, hey, Simona,
Uh-oh.
do you think we've had change in team control? And I said, what? I said,
You're
what?
like, oh, I
I was
thought I was
so
doing
dialed
good.
in. I was so dialed in. I said, I have no idea. I said, I
I
need
love the
help.
honesty. Okay.
All honesty. So my crew chief goes, okay. Um, so at that time, we couldn't go to the monitor and make a decision there. As you can see, the Y team, I believe, has 4 fouls, so we would have been in bonus. But in that play, we made a decision that the defensive player dribbling had control. Therefore, there's change in team control, and that
Okay.
team will shoot 2 free throws.
Okay. And it does look like, just so you know, I do see her take the dribble. It
Yes.
was clear that she'd see right there.
Mm-hmm.
She backs it away, but then she dribbles it, meaning she now has, with that dribble, you can determine and say that we have changed from
Correct.
it being white's team control to now black actually dribbling and now having control of the ball before the
Yes, because
contact
what is
occurs.
player control is holding or dribbling the ball,
Correct.
and it says dribble may be started by pushing, throwing,
Mhm.
tapping, or batting the ball to the playing court, and it says
Got it.
once or several times. So
Gotcha.
we made a decision that there was change in team control, and then the black team went and shot 2 free throws in that case.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and
Nice.
now this year we're able to go to the monitor to make a decision if there was free throws involved.
Right, right. They actually
Yeah,
helped
and
us
I
because we
haven't
used
had that
to have
happen in the
to,
game.
right, we used to have to reconstruct it on our own without the monitor, and which we still were very good at.
Correct.
Don't get me wrong. See, again, it's not like
Right.
we were bad at it, but obviously, once the rule committee looks at plays like this, they actually has now
Mhm.
given us another tool that we can use to get the play
Mhm.
correct. And that's now being able to a coach can appeal it, the whether or not there's team control or not team control. But here's what's interesting. What I say to you is
Mhm.
that we're having several plays like this, and I had this discussion this past weekend when I was at a game, and it's interesting when we have loose balls. And and
Mhm.
if you take this play right here, and I told the crew, I said, one thing you have to realize, let's first talk about whether or not you're going to have a foul on a loose ball, or you're going to have two
Yeah.
players that meet at the same time, and there's no
Mhm.
advantage or disadvantage taken. They both are just eye on the ball. You are going to have some contact, but they're both just
Mhm.
going for the ball, which is different than this play. Because clearly in this play, you can see that white goes into black's space so that she's
Correct.
not able to continue her dribble. She clearly doesn't
Correct.
go for the ball. She clearly
Mhm.
goes into the path of black and knocks her down,
Mhm.
which is illegal, which is different because the play that we talked about this past weekend was two players, the ball is out in front of them and their bodies meet, but there's no
Mhm.
advantage or disadvantage taken. They're just trying to get the ball. And the ball goes out of bounds. You wouldn't have a foul. You would just figure out whose ball is it, and you give the direction, and we would play on
Mhm.
versus looking at your play here. Clearly,
Mhm.
100%, we need a foul on this play because white definitely goes in with body contact and knocks black down. And now black loses the ball, and we're not going to obviously now allow her to take the ball away from her. That's why we have the foul. So it's
Yeah.
just interesting how the plays like this are becoming um, almost normal in our game,
Right.
where the ball is loose and defenders are now trying to go get it, and we have to now first determine whether or not we should have a foul, and then we have
Mhm.
to determine whether there's team control or player control has been or that team control has changed. And either are we going to shoot free throws, or are we going to have an offensive foul, or whether we're going to have it, whatever it might be, now we have to make those decisions. So I found
Yeah.
that interesting when you sent me this play. That's the first thing I thought about was this past weekend and the discussion that I had in the locker room with a play that was very similar, but it was just two
Mhm.
players where their bodies met and they come together at the same time and tap the ball and it just went out of bounds. But there's no
Yes.
foul at all.
Yeah.
Versus your play, you can clearly see that she knocks her off her path and there is some illegal contact and we need a foul on the play. So
Yeah. And kudos to my crew chief coming in and bringing me information because, I was so focused on the play that, outside officials usually have more information to bring. So for
mhm.
my partner to come in and help me out on that, like that's great partnership. So I was really appreciative of it. And he was like, "Did you know what I was talking about?" I was like, "No, I had no idea."
But see, there you go
So
with your honesty again. See,
yeah,
there's
that's
where
great crew chief.
for you, you are not see, this is good. This is probably why you
Mhm.
learn so fast, because one thing I say
Mhm.
about you, Simona, you're not afraid to say, "I don't know." See,
Mhm.
you there you have strength, and you don't even know you have strength, because a lot of referees, they would go, "Yeah, I know," and they really don't know, and they're not able, because now if you said, "Yeah," so the crew chief's gonna say, "Okay, so what do we do now?" And then you
Mhm.
go, I really don't know what the hell to do because I ain't never had this before. But in your
Yeah.
case, your honesty allowed your crew chief to give you the
Mhm.
extra information to now be able to go to the monitor, get the play right, and administer and adjudicate the rule properly so that we look good and that we're running the game, that we're in control, that we got all the pieces to the puzzle. Because
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, that can save us as far as how coaches
Yes.
perceive us and how well we do. And it's not even about whether or
Absolutely.
not you had a foul. We got it. But
Mm.
we still have other pieces to that foul that we got to do a better job with. And it was your honesty that helped your crew chief say, okay, now we have to go to the monitor. We have to see if we have team control. We have to see that, the foul, obviously, we know we have a foul. What do we do? Are we going to shoot free throws? Are we going to, is something else going to happen? Is we have something unsportsmanlike? Who knows? But the great thing was it started with your honesty of being honest and saying, I really don't know. And you wasn't afraid to do that because that that's confidence within itself, if you didn't know. See, most people take that as weakness, but you're
Yeah.
never afraid to be honest, to just tell the truth. Because again, help me. I don't know.
Exactly.
It was so funny when you first was described the play, you said, "Oh my God, I was so happy that I had it." And then that crew
Exactly.
chief asked you a question and you go, boy,
Exactly.
now I'm not sure. I don't know. I really don't know what I
Yeah.
help
And
me.
exactly, and it really stood out to me. So it's a great learning experience. I remember that place so vividly and what happened and how I felt in it, like my emotions, how I feel like when you have emotions sometimes attached to the situation, it kind of helps you remember a little bit better. But
Mhm.
and then the crew chief, how confident he came in and he said, "Here's what we're gonna do." Yes, and that's how I want to be if when I'm a crew chief is help my partners to get the plays right. You know, so it was a
Wow.
great play to remember.
That's a great nugget. That right there
Mhm.
is the nugget of our segment. Right there. That's it. See,
Yeah.
again, the whole objective to us doing this is that we're putting ourselves out there, so another referee can actually learn from
Hmm.
our experiences, because that's the
Yeah.
objective. If we don't, I used to tell people, they go, "Why did you decide to come back?" Because you
Mm.
could have rolled off into the sunset and go give speeches somewhere. And I go, "What good does that do?" I want to be able to share my experiences. I want to I want to give it back to referees. I want to pay it forward. I want referees to learn from all the knowledge that I've been giving. I want to give it back. I want to give it away. And I want to
Hmm.
share it because I want to watch a young up and coming referee like yourself to take those nuggets and to be a better person and to be a better referee. That's
Mm.
our whole objective, is that to take in and to give it away. But to hold on and sit on a pedestal is that's not fun. Who cares? I don't even it doesn't really even matter to me. And I think that's the one beautiful thing that our staff does, is that we're not afraid to share within ourselves. We're not afraid to put ourselves out there. We're not afraid to be our authentic selves. And for you, that's growth, and it makes you better, and it makes you not afraid to say, "You know what? I don't know what I don't know, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm gonna take these nuggets and I'm gonna apply them to my next situation, and then my next situation, and then my next situation," to where you have all this stuff stored in the back of your head, and then it'll come out at the appropriate time. Because I say to referees, I go, "You have to F up to move up." If you go through your career and you have no stuff in your games, they're just smooth, they're a piece of cake, you're gonna
Mhm.
get in the biggest game of your career and all hell's gonna break loose and you're not gonna know what to do. So I say to referees,
Exactly.
I go, take the challenges of stuff. Take the challenges of sometimes you don't know what you don't know because you haven't experienced it yet. You want those
Yes.
experiences because the experiences is where the growth comes. That's the only way you learn. We're not perfect. We don't know everything, but we're willing to take that, listen to our mentors, listen to our supervisors, listen to our coordinators, and store things in the back of our head. We just store it. We leave it there. And eventually, it's going to come back. You're going to be in a game and you're going to have that same play and you're going to go, I know what to do. I am not afraid. Got it. Because that's
Yeah.
how our game works. It really does. And that's how we grow and how we develop. Because mind you, Simona, if we didn't have these situations and different obstacles and games and reviews and plays that you go, I don't know how she got to the floor. Then what how we gonna learn? How you gonna know how to deal with them? How you gonna, yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. You gotta study, you gotta know your rules, you gotta study your mechanics, you gotta work on being fundamentally sound, you gotta call the obvious. You gotta do all these steps. But you can still be in that game and in that situation where something happens and you never have experienced it before, and you just pray to God that you're with a crew chief that can help you, or it's a situation that you've experienced before and you're able to replay something and bring it back and go, I know what to do. I got us. And then you're
Yes.
able to give that information.
Yes. Amen to that. Amen.
That's it. Period.
Well, thank you for creating a space of for growth and trusting and in us in your staff and giving us tools and opportunities to grow. So I really appreciate you. I love being part of your staff, and our staff is amazing. I know I can always call our staff members and ask questions, and they're always open to help. So thank you
Mm.
for setting such a great example and having me on staff, and I'm glad to be on this podcast today. So thank you for having me.
I'm going to give our viewers a little homework. I'm going to say to you is when you go watching your video, pull out a couple of plays, a couple of situations that, you know what, you didn't know what to do. And give your mentor a call and ask them to give you some nuggets on how to handle those particular situations. And that's the key component to video. See, people don't realize it's like, no, 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 no. We don't know everything yet, but we're gonna continue to learn. So I challenge our viewers to, when you're watching video, pull out a couple of those atypical situations and send it to your mentors or send it to your mentee group and have those discussions and put some nuggets in the back of your head so that when those situations happen, you're going to be better
Mm,
equipped. You're going to have a little more knowledge and you're going to know that you can just calm down, soak it in. And believe me, you're going to be able to pull it from the back and be able to use those nuggets to be able to get the play right, even if you don't know. How about this? You can always call me, you can always call one of our staff, and we're going to have someone that can help you. So I thank you, Simona. I thank our viewers for being with us for Keeping It Real segment, and I just want everyone to remember that regardless of what happens in the game, always remember the play is the play. Peace out, everybody.